We are now ECS Brigade, the only show of its kind this side of the Sahara, hosted by yours truly, Richard Mwanja. Indeed, always a pleasure to have you on board on this show that touches on matters public policy, governance, and generally what is unfolding in the world of politics here in Kenya. Always an honor to have you on board. Now today we have a cocktail of issues in the world of politics we are going to take a deep dive into. But first, allow me to introduce Kenya's most sought after political analyst, the first of his name, Herman Manyora. Great to see you, sir.
Hi, Richard.
Where is your blazer today, though?
I'm an old man.
Come on.
Don't bother how I'm dressed. I'm an old man.
But you have to dress the part and look like someone who is aging like fine wine.
No. I'm okay.
You're okay?
Nobody's complaining.
A humble
The people
boy.
who should complain are not complaining. Yes.
So who are we?
Who are you, really?
Who are you?
Yes.
Very well. Straight into today's conversation, and today we are looking at a cocktail of matters that have been unfolding in the world of politics. And let's start from the side of the call for mass protest by Azimio leader Raila Odinga. And if you look at their stance during their last protest, the last Monday, Mother Karua came forth and warned those who probably harbor ambitions of physically harming Raila Odinga, and said once they do so, then they'll have dared the nation and everyone will rise against them. She was hinting at the government, probably just to curtail what Raila Odinga is doing. One of the ways is probably by harming him, more so physically. Do you think the sentiments from Mother Karua hold water, or they were just sort of to intimidate the government, or indeed the nation can rise once Raila is touched?
I think this issue of Raila, we should forget about it. It's not an issue to be discussed. Those who say they can arrest Raila, they know that's not possible.
No level of intimidation?
No, touching Raila, how can you touch Raila? Unless you want to ban the country. And they know it, so I don't think they'll do it. Raila is not a human being.
Who is he then?
Raila is an institution.
A movement more so?
Raila is a religion. So what are you talking about?
Then some could say...
Why do you want to cause havoc in the country? I don't think anybody will do that. Nobody will do it.
Come on. Tear gas canisters have been lobbed top of his vehicle.
But that's not... That is by some fellows who don't know what they are doing, but I don't think it can go beyond that. Even that's already bad enough.
All right.
We are painting a bad picture of ourselves, internationally and locally, and I think it's something we should stop.
Very well. Top of the reasons that are making Raila, take to the streets, of course with a huge following behind him, are grievances that touch on matters economy. And remember, this government came into power with so much hope instilled among the electorate. But this far, do you find that probably many Kenyans, even those who voted for Kenya Kwanza government, do not find William Ruto's economic recovery plan inspiring enough that many people no longer resonate with it?
You know, when these people are launching these things, some call manifesto, others call plan, I dismiss them. I was on some TV station, and this is cheaply copied from textbooks.
And it was so detailed.
Yeah, I know. A manifesto is a vision, is a dream on paper. You know, it cannot be as detailed as the one of Kenya Kwanza was. Vision is in a capsule, in some very broad
perspective.
Broad categories, and you don't go into the nitty-gritties. Because the problem with the nitty-gritties, when you go to implement, especially if you haven't even taken over government, once you take over, you realize certain things you can't do.
Like the energy.
Circumstances change. So it's like a manifesto is like the Punguza Mzigo bill to change the Kenyan constitution by Kuru Okot and his team. And then I had to put salaries in the constitution. You can't do that.
You can't do that. Those come at the
periphery. You can talk about in a broad way. You can talk about it in terms of ratios, in terms of proportionality, in terms of percentages. So that allows you legroom when things change. But to put an exact figure, so that's precisely what the Kenya Kwanza plan was, trying to do it in that simple way, and it was not going to work.
And now
behind the plan of Kenya Kwanza, I didn't see a vision for the country. I didn't see people who are genuine. And if maybe they were genuine, but they were wanting in terms of capacity.
Capacity.
Their understanding of the situation was very poor. I looked at David Ndii and his plans. I just laughed. I told them and I questioned them. Now you can see this, those things can't work.
Now he has an
The way they understand the economy is so poor, it's so bad, you can't then cure it. You can't cure without proper diagnosis. So their understanding of the Kenyan economy and the broad Kenyan situation is so weak, so poor, they cannot offer the proper remedies. Right. Now to compound the problem is listening too much to World Bank and IMF. So it gets out of the way. And then in between there are still many Ngorokos around, buccaneers and businessmen and entrepreneurs.
Bilateral ties need to be strengthened.
Yeah, you don't strengthen bilateral ties by allowing somebody to strangle you.
It has to be mutual benefit.
Yeah.
Very well. Then does that somewhat explain why the very same people that were endeared by this government, the hustlers, if you look at the composition of those who are taken to the streets, 80% are the younger generation, the hustlers, who are to be given bread and butter by the sitting government. Does that now explain why so many of them are now fighting the hand that was to feed them in the fullness of time?
And you know, Americans say you ain't seen nothing yet. We shall see a little of that. Because you know, we can talk about many things, we can even philosophize about things, but not about stomach, not about hunger. There's no philosophy about hunger. A hungry man just needs food. Then we can talk about other big things.
Nothing about being loyal to the government.
No,
that
whether I have a jacket or not, that can only come after we have eaten.
Very well.
Yeah.
But then again, still touching on Raila Odinga's call of somewhat which many consider a revolution, do you think the way government has reacted to it by fronting hardliners, Kimani Ichung'wah, DP Rigathi Gachagua, Didmas Barasa, you name them, do you think fronting hardliners against Raila Odinga and what he believes in, what many Kenyans believe in, do you think that's the best conduit and probably the silver bullet to address and tame Raila Odinga?
You know, if you're a hardliner like Kimani Ichung'wah, Rigathi and the rest, then we must assume you have the power to carry through your hardline stance. Because if the country is saying, let's sit down and talk, and you are saying no, then it means you must have within your power the ability to ensure you put the other guy down.
At hold.
And that is using force. First of all, Martin Luther long told us, Martin Luther King, that force is not a good thing to use. It destroys you, the one applying it, just as it destroys me, the one you're applying on. You see, it creates brutality in you and bitterness in me. So then how can we coexist? Because at the end of the day, after you have dealt with Raila and these people, you will not remove them from this country.
They are here to stay.
So you have to stay with them in Kenya. And like Martin Luther has told you, the brutality in you will not make it possible for you to exist with the other party. And the other party has such a bitterness that you also have going. So force is bad. Secondly, just how much force can you use?
Just how much is enough?
And they will soon realize it can't work. Force cannot work. And I've repeated this. Right in the 21st century, you will not apply force. And you say in the last two mandamandos, you can see just how much force could do. And how it paints the government in bad picture. Raila may be a bad person, but he's a respected citizen man. At his age and his stature, you cannot lobby tear gas. You cannot attempt to do sort of things to people like Raila. Countries don't do that to people of that caliber.
To statesmen.
You find your ways of
maneuvering,
slapping boys around like Manyora, that you leave them there. You can't do what you are doing. So you see, you're already painting yourself in a very bad light. And secondly, the police and anybody else in uniform can only take orders up to a certain extent. And that has been shown everywhere in the world.
Not just placing the appointing authority?
No, beyond a certain point, they will not take that, those orders. They will not. But more importantly, do they have the numbers? How many policemen do we have in this country?
Not met the UN ratio yet.
So it's a waste of time. Even if you are to meet the UN ratio, is it one policeman, I don't know, 400 citizens or something like that? You can just see in the ratio. At the very best, when you are at your very best, that for every policeman, a country must have, for every so many people of the population, the country should afford at least one policeman. Even if you are to be there, which is at the best, the ideal, you can see the policeman is outnumbered. So then you must sit down and ask yourself, so what does it mean? It means the police were not meant to be used as a brute force. No. Actually, it is the people who would want the police. It is the people who are continually asking government, mbona msilete police station hapa kwetu? It should be the people to lead the police, not the government. Because the police are serving the people.
Rightly put.
If you turn it to think in your stupid head that you can use the police against the people, it won't work because they are not even enough. And the environment in which the police operate is an environment in which their services are required and needed. That's why when I see people talking ill of the police, I ask them, you are very stupid. Supposing to ambie police wait to end the leave 1 week. Simutalia.
Anarchy all over the place.
Yeah. So please treat the police with respect. I keep telling people. So it is the people who need the police, not even the government. But for that to take place, for that to happen, there must be law and order. So that the police are only dealing with the 1 or 2 misfits who are breaking law and order. It can't be when everybody is out to break law and order. And how does that happen? We are slowly and foolishly creating a citizenry that will not budge, that will look the police in the eye. People will face the police. You can already see people are walking into the tear gas. Have you seen it?
Yeah. And
so what are you creating now? You are rendering the police powerless tomorrow.
And building immunity among the people.
And spoiling the image the public has of the police. The public respect the police because the public needs the police more than the government. Okay?
Very well.
Because the people the police will have to deal with are people who are making life difficult for the people. Okay? So the people can kneel down for the police. They want the police. But you are now trying to create a situation where people are saying the police are enemies. And then finally, which is most really like I've said, creating a class of people who don't give a hoot about the police. They can walk into the tear gas, the water cannon.
Even ban police vehicles.
Ban police vehicles. And this is just day 2. By the time you get to day 10, or what the time it becomes a routine every day, you see things happen in other parts of the world.
More of a resistance force.
So what do the police cannot use that force in an environment where they are not serving the public. It is the public that needs the police more than the government. And it must remain like that. So I urge the hardliners to know that there is just so much they can do. So there must be another approach.
Which is?
I've been doing some radio interview. Someone asking, what are the options?
Alternatives.
There are 3 alternatives we have now. Alternative 1 is dialogue. Alternative 2 is dialogue. Alternative 3 is
dialogue.
There is no other alternative. The sooner we accept, the better. The sooner, the better. Because there is no other option. There are only 3 options.
It is
dialogue, dialogue, dialogue.
The goose that will lay the golden egg.
You wait until you have it when you are on your knees. And let me tell you something else.
Very well.
The moment you begin to use force, every time you use force, you always get to a point where you must apply more force.
Topping the cream.
You must top up. Force requires constant top up. You get it? And slowly you are making yourself a candidate for the ICC. Already I can see You know there's the ICC already in this country.
Hovering all over the place.
I can see guys in this country already who are candidates for the ICC. The way I hate ICC myself, because it is targeting some poor countries.
Getting them on their
I also hate ICC because I don't believe in the idea of dragging a Kenya to some foreign court. That speaks very badly of us. Very bad of us. We are unable to do our own things. But I can see it beckoning.
Lacking by.
The moment you use force, force always requires top up. You use force today, tomorrow you require to use more force.
Fire begets ash.
And the moment you do that, you become brutal. Force, you're a human being. More force, a human being. More force, less of a human being. More force, you become brutal. Your psyche must change. The way you view human beings must now change. Because the things you are able now to do to another human being, a human being cannot do when they are still human beings. So that's why Martin Luther King Jr. was saying, you become, it brutalizes you. You become brutal yourself. Because force requires constant topping up. And finally, the human in you disappears. You become either a machine in the service of a bad person, or you become the bad person yourself, an inhuman being. And that's what I'm saying. My advice to especially young people in this country, and I've been telling them, don't try to think you can be big or you know so much. We know a lot more than you, and we can tell you quickly we can tell you will not go far. Quickly we can tell you won't go far. It does not matter how long it takes, you can't go far. But for young people, when I see them being the ones spearheading what could cause anarchy, I sympathize with them. I was with somebody on TV and I told him, look here, young man, you are my son. He was in school with my son actually. And I told him, my age mates have messed this country. This country has been messed by people of my age. Okay? It is your age that must change this country for your children. It is your age that needs this country.
More than yours do.
What do we need? Is there anything we need now? Sisi tumeisha.
Just a retirement plan.
So those people, we don't even need anything. Those people who need this country the most are the ones who are engaging in activities and utterances that can destroy the country. It's really bad and it's sad.
Well, there you have it, straight from the firebrand's mouth. Of course, ushering nuggets of wisdom to the side of Kenya Kwanza, and also Azimio on how best they can mediate on the issues that are definitely making so much harm and danger and posing threat to our economy and the general governance of this country. We have to see how issues will unfold, but we do hope that we will not have spillover effects that will be too huge for us to make to redeem ourselves. Time now for me to wrap up this entire conversation, but before that I want to thank you all who have always tuned in to these editions, not just Siasa Brigade but also Business Glide on the other side, Political Conversations with Jadiel Kabiro, Evans Okini coming in, the Candid Talk, and actually don't miss out on our live broadcast every Monday, Wednesday and Friday, 7:30 p.m. Definitely it is something that will help you be a better patriot at heart and be a better leader for the citizens of this country. Until next time, my name is Richard Mwenje. Always a pleasure.